I saw it there. I saw.
Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Bruce?
Here.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. McGee?
Here.
Mr. Morales?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
Move on to approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda. Or.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruce?
Yes. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 6, 2024.
I make a motion to approve the regular meeting of March 6th, 2024. Support.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruce?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Minutes of the executive session minutes of March 6, 2024.
A motion with executive session minutes of March 6, 2024 be approved.
Or.
Mr. Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruce?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Budget workshop meetings of March 11th, 2024.
Motion to approve budget workshop minutes of March 11th, 2024. Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Bruce?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Morales?
Yes.
Budget workshop minutes of March 18th, 2024.
A motion to budget workshop meeting minutes of March 18th, 2024 be approved.
Support.
Mrs. Bruce?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Move on to approval of manifest 2024-06. Scott, did you have any questions? Brett?
I have none.
Jeff?
None, Madam Mayor.
Rico?
No questions.
I have none either. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve manifest 2024-06 in the amount of $249,066.33.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bruce?
Yes. Anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on any item of interest shall do so now at the podium. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. The council will not engage in discussion or debate during public comment. If the matter needs further discussion, then council may direct the city manager to place the item on the agenda. Nothing? And then we have the same if you have any questions on anything on the agenda. We have none. We'll move on to action item number 1, Energy Innovation Collaborative Service EIC Program Agreement Letter. Dan.
I'll start, try to give my best of this, and Scott Hagee is here, a little more familiar. So this is a program that the city has been a part of for how long, Scott? Since I've been here.
It used to be Efficiency United. When Efficiency United sunsetted, then the WPPI members got together and formed this EIC.
So this
it's
is
been many, many years.
Yeah, this is the program that the electric utility puts a certain amount of money into this program, and it's the one that if you want to do efficiency upgrades, if you want to change your incandescent to LEDs, if you buy an Energy Star appliance for that $50 rebate, things like that, that's where this program comes into play. The reason why they're looking at this 20-month gap agreement is because they believe, well, they will. The state has new legislation that's going to basically mandate this sort of program by 26, I believe. So you see the not to exceed of our contributions to the program is $76,000. That is because it's a 20-month period rather than a year. Any money that isn't spent at the end of the year on any of the upgrades and projects just stays with the utility. It isn't given to WPPI and goes away. It's ours. It stays with the utility if we don't do any projects. I added an email from Jesse from WPPI that goes over our total incentive budget, and then the amount we actually used in projects in our total, and the percent of the issued incentive budget. The WPPI Executive Committee has not approved this gap agreement. That's coming up in April. They asked me to start to get this out in front of our council so that if they do approve it, we can be ahead of the game. Unfortunately, Jesse and another member of WPPI were not able to attend tonight to give a little more in-depth detail. Scott is here. He can give more detail than I can. If council's not comfortable with this yet, because we're missing our WPPI individuals, like I said, it's not being approved by the executive committee yet. We can bring it back if you're not comfortable with the detail. With that, if you have any questions for Scott to give another overview, he can do that.
I had a few questions that I called Dan to ask ahead of time, and that's why you see the sheets in front of you. I just wanted to see how much, we were using for the month. I wanted to see the price difference, and, the price difference pretty much is because they're gonna bring us up to the 20 months, because at that time the state's gonna regulate some kind of program that we have to do anyway.
The only thing I'd add to that, I did reach out to Brett Nini from WPPI and just asked what's the difference between what we have now and this one. His response is on the memo there, and it's that the administrative costs are reduced by 45%. Because there is a company that administers this program, and there are administrative costs associated with that.
Is there any other questions on that? If not, do I have a motion?
I wonder if WPPI the executive board hasn't approved the, what are we, we could be voting on something that's not gonna, that could change, or it might not even.
I don't think it'll change, they just haven't voted on it, and I think what they're out there looking for is to see how many people want to still go with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why they brought it out early, so when they go to their meeting, they can say, these are the municipalities.
Yeah, and if you authorize me to sign that, I won't sign it until it's approved and that we review that it is unchanged.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to sign the Energy Innovations Collaborative Agreement.
Support.
Mr. Minigini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes,
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
and just make sure when they send it back, it's exactly what we.
Yeah, I'll share it with you and I can review it together first, just to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay. Item number 2, purchase request, police department portable radio.
Chief Wilkie is here to speak on this item. This is something that we discussed during this current budget, and it's specifically listed in the budget for this radio. This is a very specific radio with a level of encryption for their CERT team. With that, Pat, I'll give it to you if you have any questions. That is the basics of it.
Right, we're just trying to purchase one radio a year, get up to date. This is the APX 6000 series. It needs a certain size, encryption level to meet the state specifications.
Pat, speak into the
Oh,
mic a
sorry.
little bit, because otherwise people say they can't hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that side of the room is.
Right, it's got to be a certain size, certain specifications to meet the state encryption level. I think it's going to start going a little bit further down the road where all of the radios will need that at some point. So it's a little more expensive than typical radios we've been buying.
It's quite a bit over budget.
Yeah,
90 cents.
got it in my
91
pocket.
cents.
You can find that somewhere.
Damn it.
Can you find that somewhere?
We did budget for 6,000.
Yeah.
It is
You could have did better, hey, really?
Yeah.
91 cents over budget.
And CERT is Critical Incident Response Team?
Correct.
Show off.
Just want to know what the acronym means, so.
Does anybody else have any questions? If not, do I have a motion?
I motion we recommend the council approve the purchase of the Motorola APX 6000 series portable radio through Elcom Systems at the proposed cost of $6,000.91.
Support.
Can I ask one question?
What's the lifespan of that?
All depends on
Well, the
encryption,
current
probably.
radios are, I think they were purchased about 20 years ago.
So they have a fairly long lifespan.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menninghini?
Yes.
We'll move on to item number 4, resolution 2024-02.
Did you miss number 3?
Oh, I'm sorry. How could I forget, Brock City? Item number 3, lift station. Number 5, pump replacement, R&RI wastewater treatment plant.
I'll do it real quick, and Brock's here better knowledge than I have on this. We have a broken pump in lift station number 5, and we would like to continue to use the RRI money, which again is money that we are required to put aside for projects like this, repair, maintenance, replace, as part of our bond requirement. We budgeted $70,000 for projects using RRI. This still keeps us under that total amount that's been used.
Was this pump replaced when we redid the whole thing, or is this an older pump?
No, this is probably a 10-year-old pump, and lift station 5 is that Evergreen Assisted Living area. So this one is, I'd say 10 years old. The one that is next, it's a duplex system, meaning there's 2. So right now we have physically just one pump we're relying on to serve that whole side of that community. The newer pump in there is probably a year old. So when this pump is replaced, we'll have a year-old pump, and then we approved last meeting to have the controls upgraded. So with this and this, we'll have a pretty good solid lift station. Like Dan was saying, we had budgeted 70,000 for the RR&I. As of right now, there's 11,000 left. And 2 projects that we had budgeted, we're supposed to take care of that 70 grand. But I was able to work with that pipeline contractor who did the lining, and we got that done for a reasonable deal. So there's a lot of extra money, just trying to make the best use of it.
And we have a lot, there's more than just the 70,
That's for this
what we have
last
in
budget
the
year.
budget. Right. And Natalie, do you remember, was this the 300 and something?
330-ish,
Yeah. So
24.
there's quite a bit of RR&I available.
Okay. If there's no other questions, do I have a motion?
Is there a warranty on this? Excuse me? Do they offer a warranty? I don't know for sure, but I think it's usually a 1 year. They are submersible pumps, so they're hard to warranty these. And they do take a pounding over at that area because there's a lot of undesirable flushing things. So at the same time, I like to just remind everybody that only the usual stuff should go down the toilet, because stuff like this is what happens. Check valve gets plugged, it has so much pressure behind it, it blows it apart. So, and there's $5,000 worth of a pump.
Right. One other question, just quick. I see you only had 1 bid. Is that just because you could get it the fastest or
He's
whatever?
got 2.
I
Oh,
got
you
2,
did have 2.
and I reached out to a third, but they were from like New Jersey, sorry. I've been to this vacuum pump and compressor. They built the lift station in '96. I reach out to other people. They are the lowest, but if there was a lower one, I would definitely go with that, but they can be up here in.
I'm sorry, and I only seen the one. That's all right. Thank you for doing that. Do I have a motion?
I recommend approval of a lift station or 5 pump replacement for $5,234 from Vacuum Pump and Compressor Incorporated using budgeted RR&I monies.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menninghini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Now I'll move on to item number 4, resolution 2024-02, National Lineman Appreciation Day. You want me to read this?
Sure.
Each year, we highlight important members of our employment team through national recognition. The electric industry has one such labeled National Lineman Appreciation Day. This year, the day is April 18th. Please join me in approving the proclamation making April 18th National Lineman Appreciation Day in the city of Norway. Do I have a motion to accept that?
I make a motion, resolution 2024-02 be approved, designated April 18, 2024 as National Lineman Appreciation Day in the city of Norway.
Support.
We'll move on to number 5. Go ahead.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr.
I must wanna get on.
Menninghini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yeah.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
We'll move on to number 5, National Arbor Day. As part of the city Norway's urban forestry program and Tree USA status, we should continue to support the recognition of National Arbor Day. The attached resolution proclaims April 26th as Arbor Day in the city of Norway. This date is the official Arbor Day across the country, and we join many other communities in celebrating this day. Do I have a motion?
Before a motion, I have a question. Are we?
Not as well as we could be.
Are we getting the tree sales anytime soon? Because we haven't seen that normally, like by April.
They should have, they all went out, in the newsletter, the last newsletter, to buy trees.
Okay.
I don't know if we had any orders yet. You?
How much? Yeah.
Okay. Something that we'll probably talk in the next Parks meeting too, to see if we wanna do some. And actually, in next year, and I've done this in other climates where April is not always conducive for a planting, where the national day may be April 26th, but if we wanna do it June 1st, so we can actually be out and actually do a planting as part of the, celebration, we can do that as well.
Trees only planted along the boulevard?
No, you can do the trees along the boulevard. The difference is we'll plant those if you pay for it, but you can still, anyone can still purchase one just there. You have to do your own planting, and I think you have to pick it up yourself.
I make a motion that resolution 2024-03 be approved, designated April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day in the city of Norway.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mendoza?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Booth?
Yes. What is this item number 6?
6 kind, yeah.
All right, sorry about that. And during the course of the year, there are opportunities to highlight and thank various employees for their efforts, contributions to the organization. Each year, we celebrate, honor our office staff as they are critical members of our employment family in dealing with administrative issues and the public. Each year, the last Wednesday in April is set aside to honor these important people in our organization. Please join me in honoring them by passing this proclamation recognizing April 24th as Administrative Professional Day.
I make a motion that resolution 2024-04 be approved, designated April 24th, 2024 as Administrative Professionals Day in the city of Norway.
Support.
Mr. Mendoza?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Booth?
Kenny, she went, you vote.
Yes.
And Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
I have a question. When we have a National Butcher's Day?
I would be shocked if they're not.
I think there must be, right?
We're trying to deal this with the city here now, Jeff. We'll move on to mayor and council comments. Scott?
Just like to say, winter's not over yet. Looking at this weekend,
Thanks a
looks
lot.
like snow. Bummer. That's all I got.
Brett?
I have nothing, thank you.
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
No comment.
I have a couple comments. I guess my first comment would be that I would like Brock Johnson to be recognized. He worked very hard in getting a grant through Toro Company for our Lady Debbie, who takes care of the downtown area. We're going to be getting, is it like a side-by-side almost, right, with the water on it, Grant?
Yep, it's
Grant.
it's a side-by-side with a flatbed. It'll come with a 100-gallon tank. It's got a hose reel and electric pump. It's similar exactly what Fire Mountain has. If you've ever seen that cart going down Stevenson, that's what should be coming. I'd like to thank Arnie Myron. He is my neighbor. Brett knows Arnie. He turned me on to this program. And also for Cheryl. Cheryl helped me write some of this grant too, so It should be here month and a half, hopefully by when the real spring gets here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great job.
That's just awesome. Great, thank you for taking the initiative and whoever helped you with it, doing the initiative. Want to thank Toro, what a great
Yep.
thing. We're really appreciative of what, them giving us this, and it really is gonna help Deb downtown. And the other comment is, Brock was having Deb use his golf cart, so Brock could have actually took it for himself, but he,
Brock don't play that, no.
and he gave it to Deb to keep our downtown beautified.
It's more useful for the downtown and easier for Toro to accept our wish due to the location and high travel of that. It's a very high travel, and the Toro name will be downtown. And
So let us know when that comes in. So we
it'll
can-
definitely be here when it.
Ken, real quick too,
outside.
after you left the DDA today, Elsa brought up the fact that she heard us talk about Knights Kingdom,
Yes,
and Toro has a program to renew parks, and they've done a couple in Iron Mountain. And she's going to get Dan the information, and we're gonna look into that as well to see if they'll help us out with, rebuilding Knights Kingdom.
yeah,
So Toro's, just, the point is Toro's really seems to be helping communities that they're
They're,
involved in a lot.
not to interrupt you, but they are big in the communities and the parks, and I had started actually looking at parks with this, and then she turned me on to this product donation, which seemed to be a quicker turnaround. But yeah, Justina up there she's pretty awesome, and anything we need, she can help us
Yep.
get to that point, not guaranteed to get it.
Right.
But we can throw a
Right.
dart at it for sure.
Right.
well, that's really a good thing, because that's one thing I did bring up to the DDA. Today of course I had to ask if it was in the DDA district, and it's not. Last Friday was down there with the grandkids at, Knights Kingdom, and it's in bad shape. It needs to be fixed up.
Yep.
It's one of our high points of our town, and I know it's really expensive, but even if we gotta get down there and, maybe we can get some community members to volunteer and get it painted up and fixed up even for the time being, but, that's something that's really important, I think that the council gotta look at. That's all I have. Dan?
Just a couple of things, I'll piggyback on your comment with Brock. That was huge for Debbie. We presented that to her, and that was a big day for her. I think that'll help out everybody. The Knights Kingdom, unfortunately, we missed out on a grant. Parks Committee tried to get a big one for that. We will continue to look at grants for like the Toro and everything else. And that is something that we could start a little campaign to see if the community would like to start to come together, if we can start getting materials and make a day of it to see if we can everyone go out there and start to repaint, restain. But it certainly needs some attention.
It does need some
And
attention.
I still think that park, I haven't been here long, but I still think that's more of our community, everyday park.
It's used a lot.
Marion Park's our big one, but that's not it's accessible, but it isn't in your backyard like Strawberry is for a lot of families here. So that is something I wish the DDA was in, that would help, but they're not. So
To the viaduct, that thing's 12 feet off of Main Street, then somebody gonna have to explain that to me someday.
yeah. So we will continue to look at that. Speaking of parks, I did a presentation for the Lions Club to try to get some grant funding to help us complete the softball field at Marion Park. The feedback I got was it went very well. They won't make their decision until April. I don't know what to expect, but I think we should be receiving something. And I hope between what we receive and what we have remaining, we can at least get the dugouts complete. Coleman will be out there to shoot the lines for the foul poles, and they're going to mark that for us. And once they're marked, I do think we can move those ourselves internally, and then we'll have those two parts complete, and then we can kind of look at that fence line as well. But so hopefully those are moving forward, and we'll get that at least playable, hoping this year, because the foul poles are on. And people need to, if you go out there, the dugouts are the cement slabs with picnic tables, and that needs to be resolved. So look for that this summer. And that's all I have.
Anybody else have anything? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Support.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menadini?
Yes.
Better.
Meeting adjourned.